That's quite a difference. So we're down in this territory, and that's despite the fact that the blue states had tremendous death rates. If you take the blue states out, we're at a level that I don't think anybody in the world would be at.
Vanity Fair, there was a member of the Trump administration working on a strategy to test the entire country back in the spring. The story explains how that secret plan by the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, went poof into thin air. The author, Catherine Eban, joins me now. She is a contributing editor at Vanity Fair and the author of Bottle of Lies, the inside story of the generic drug boom. Catherine, welcome. Thank you so much for being with us. You know, as you reported in your piece, other countries that successfully contained coronavirus looked to scientists to guide them. Tell us about Jared Kushner's response team and who he tapped to lead it.
So from the beginning of this pandemic, he took on a outsized role within the White House. And in March, he assembled a brain trust. These were his college roommate, a number of other bankers. They reached out to various billionaires, some of them in Silicon Valley, with the goal of solving the diagnostic testing crisis.
Michael Steele, the three of us have some years on the scoreboard, and I'll put it this way. You could live your whole life and not hear a president without a sense of stewardship over the country. Instead, itemized deaths in states run by Democrats. That was the extraordinary part about today. Our friend Susan Glasser quickly tweeted this out in response. Top 10 U.S. states for coronavirus deaths include the following, won by Trump in 2016: Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia. Michael, a lot of his base lives in that list.
They do, and they don't care. To Gene's point, I've talked to enough of them over the last few days. I'm exhausted. I'm exasperated. You know, at this point, it's like save who you can save, because there's only so much you can do. There's only so much you can say. The fact that we have to literally beg people to wear a mask to save their own dumbass from getting sick. I'm sorry. I just, to me, it is beyond the imagination. I'm with John Hyman. I am just so exhausted with this president at this point in the face of what we see happening on college campuses right now. As we turn into fall, we all knew this was coming, and yet this administration has done jack.
The president's comments come just one day after he tried to distance himself from Democratic-run states at a town hall in Philadelphia.
What they want is a bailout of Democrat-run states that are doing poorly. And, you know, I don't think this is the right way.
Why do you keep talking about Democrat states and Democrat states? They're American states and American states.
Democrat-run states are the ones that are doing badly, George. If you look at New York, if you look at Illinois, if you look at a lot of different places, they're doing poorly. And cities, in particular cities. I mean, these cities are being run so poorly.
But don't you have a responsibility for those states and cities as well?
Debt, but largely because of the crime. They don't want to do anything about crime. Sanctuary cities, they have sanctuary cities where they're protecting criminals. They have things that the Republicans don't have. So they are. I mean, I don't want to say, look, I'm the president of everybody, but I don't want to say it, but they're Democrat-run cities. It is what it is.
As the response went on, they ended up reaching out to several diagnostic testing experts. And as a group, they ended up hammering out a pretty comprehensive national plan for diagnostic testing. So instead of having the states fight one another for supplies and lab capacity, it would have all been federalized in an organized system. One of the participants we interviewed expected that plan to be announced in the Rose Garden, and then it, as that person said it, just went poof into thin air.
Now, the White House did tap a testing czar as well, correct? Were they working hand in hand? Was Jared Kushner's little brain trust here working with the testing czar?
So the group that was hammering out this plan was working in relative isolation, as I have been told. They were working secretly. They were hammering out the plan on WhatsApp. There was very little input or consultation from the agencies as this developed. You know, this plan was not being led by the public health experts within the agency. Nonetheless, as a source told us, it would have been a place to start.
Right. And so you say, the members of this group themselves, who you spoke to at least, were surprised that it didn't ever get announced or maybe serious consideration from the president. Were you able to drill down on why that was?
Well, we were. And the plan, as I understand it, hit a sort of shifting sentiment inside the White House. So it was early April. The White House task force, Dr. Birx and others, were expecting the virus to subside. They felt that it would basically just sort of shrink, go away. It was under control. But there was another issue involved, which is at that point, it was mostly hitting the blue states. And according to our reporting and our sources, there was a political calculation made that it would be effective politically if they needed to just blame the governors of those blue states, and that there was not a desire to stand up a massive national testing plan if it wasn't needed and if it was just a blue state problem.
Than any other nation on God's green earth, more than countries with larger populations, and more than countries with mere fractions of our wealth and power. And here's how the president spoke about the number of American deaths yesterday at his press conference. Quote, "If you take the blue states out, we're at a level that anyone in the world would be at. If you take the blue states out, we're at a really very low level. Yes, Mr. President, if you don't count the total number of Americans who have died, you might think it's not so bad. If you close your eyes and pretend that half of the country doesn't exist, maybe some might think you didn't do such a spectacularly awful job. What kind of person looks at the number of dead citizens in the country he is supposed to lead and in an attempt to glamorize himself, dismisses every American who died in a state that didn't support the president politically? What a disgrace!